My name is Michelle Key, and I'm a senior at Trevor School who has an interest in pursuing marine biology slash science with some kind of climate change minor. And my target is to become some kind of marine biologist or marine veterinarian. Okay,
Right.
so for the first question, what do you specialize in marine biology?
So I am a graduate research assistant and I work in a marine geomatics lab. So I'm kind of in the interdisciplinary side of marine science. I got my
Mm.
undergraduate degree in marine science, but now I am like coupling that with geomatics. So we do a lot of like habitat mapping and monitoring using imagery and stuff like that.
Ooh, that's really cool.
Yeah, I really like it.
And then, like, what's your favorite part about being a marine biologist?
Hmm. I guess it's just, a lot of people feel really connected to the ocean. That's kind of like an innate human thing. So, like, being able to work, having like your whole life work kind of be dedicated to that it's really nice to have like a meaning behind it all.
Yeah.
And like, my dad is from a tropical island and like I was born there. So, like, we spent a lot of times like snorkeling the coral reefs and stuff. So, it's kind of just like nice to work for that.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like, yeah, my parents are from Indonesia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so like when I was younger, I think when we were younger, we went to like a trip to Bali at one point, and it was just like so pretty there.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, like we did like an underwater like sea walk thing or something like
Oh,
that,
cool.
and
Yeah,
it
I
was
always want to
so
try
cute. It
that.
was so much fun. It was really clunky though. Like I don't even know how old I was, but like I just remember being put like in a really like heavy suit, and I was just like,
Yeah.
you're supposed to walk around in this.
Because you wear like the big like bubbles over your head, right?
Yeah, but it was so much fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So then, like, what inspired you to go into the marine field?
Like I said, like my family background, my dad being from Mauritius, like he used to like we used to go snorkeling a lot when I was younger. I remember him like pulling me around on a boogie board with like my head just like sticking in the water, looking down at the coral reef. So, yeah, that's kind of like what got me into being interested in the ocean, like watching all the documentaries, growing up, going to aquariums, seeing all the different animals. There's just so much in the ocean to be excited about. I actually went for when I was starting college. I was focusing on a degree in environmental engineering because I really liked the math aspect of engineering.
Mm.
But I actually switched to marine science because I found it, like that's why I was in environmental engineering because I wanted to improve the environment because I love the ocean. So it's like I should just study the ocean. And I think I was overthinking it a little bit at first.
Yeah, like definitely like with the documentaries and stuff. Like when I was younger, I didn't really watch a lot of like children's shows. I watched like
Yeah.
veterinary. I watched a lot of veterinary shows, and like back then, like when the History Channel and like Animal Planet had like actual like not I'm not gonna diss them, but like really long animal documentaries. I would always
Yeah.
watch those as a kid,
Yeah, they're
and
the
that's what
best.
got me interested in like wildlife and animals and like veterinary
Hmm.
thing. And then it kind of just kept building up because my school is near the coast, so we learned like about like coral reefs and like
Oh, that's great.
went on
You live
whale
in
watch.
California, right?
Yeah, like my
That's
sixth grade trip, we went to Catalina Island for like a week or something,
Oh,
and it
that's
was
awesome.
so much fun. Got to go like snorkeling, and I got to see like a lot of fish. We saw like a lobster den. It was like so much fun.
Oh, fun. I've like always wanted to go to Catalina Island because like the reason I got started in geomatics actually was because I took a spatial science habitat mapping course with my now advisor. And we worked on a group project that was mapping kelp forests around Catalina Island and also mapping the invasive sargassum weed and like comparing their habitats to see like the best place for removals. So like that was my first like scientific paper that I got to help work on. So I like really want to go visit and see it in real life.
And that's really cool. Yeah, it's really pretty there. I don't remember much of it though because it was a couple years ago. I just
Yeah.
remember having so much fun there.
Yeah, I've never seen the kelp forest, so
I
was
haven't
one.
seen. I don't think I've seen one either, but like I bet it's really pretty because
Yeah.
yeah. And then like, what are some like the amazing things you've seen slash discovered when you're out on the field?
I saw a couple of greens. Saw like a green sea turtle and a hawksbill sea turtle when I was doing my field work this December, and that was really nice. Like my fieldwork was just taking pictures, and it's called ground truthing and remote sensing, where you kind of go and visit a certain GPS point and you say, is this sand? Is this coral? And then I use those data points in my map to make them more accurate. So I was out in the field and I got to take a lot of pictures of coral, and I saw a lot of my favorite fish, the Picasso triggerfish, because they're
Ooh,
also called the lagoon triggerfish. And I was doing all of my mapping in the shallow water lagoon coral reef area. So I saw them all over when we were just like boating around, and it was really fun.
that's really cool. Oh, okay. And then what are some major accomplishments that you've achieved, like you felt like you've achieved?
Hmm. Well, I think like just making this like career decision to kind of embrace the mathematics side of marine science and kind of like the mapping side of it. That's something that I consider an accomplishment because, I think I'm the only woman in my lab, and like there's not
Oh,
that many like women in the field. There are definitely more now, but traditionally it's kind of more of like a male dominated, side of marine science. And it's also kind of new, incorporating ecology and like, natural sciences with the mapping aspect. So I think kind
mm.
of like making the decision and being like, you're going to be okay. You can like learn a new part of this science and you can like take the step to do that. That's something I consider an accomplishment because it was definitely difficult and it makes you doubt yourself a lot, but then it's definitely worth it when you can kind of expand into a new field of science.
Yeah, like I've been hearing a lot from people, like especially like the women, like women that I've been talking to, like the fact it's just like a really male dominated industry.
Yeah.
But like I find it super cool that like people, like a lot of women are finding interest in the field and willing to take the chances in this male dominated industry,
Yeah.
pursue what they want to do.
And like I think one of the good decisions that I've made so far, trying to like figure out my research was having a woman on my like research committee because I think it's like not that like you need a woman like on your research committee, but
Yeah.
I think it's just like nice to get their perspective because I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like if you're just like a man in this position, like you don't have as much like imposter syndrome. You're kind of like, oh yeah, of course I deserve to be here and I'm gonna do great. But if you kind
Yeah.
of have someone else who maybe faced a couple of boundaries, um, they can kind of be like, okay, you're doing great. Don't worry about it. Like, this is just how things go. They're kind of more reassuring, I found at least.
Yeah. And then like as we are currently living through a climate crisis, what are some of the major effects of climate change on your specific area of work?
Well, so I'm looking at the changes in mangrove health, coral and seagrass cover in Mauritius, the country where my dad's from. And
Mm.
I'm looking at it after an oil spill. So I'm looking specifically at like a specific disaster event. But, in general, it's like a similar process to if you wanted to look at mangroves and coral and seagrass as they are declining through like climate crises and stuff. But yeah, in general, like my study site, there's been a lot of coral bleaching in Mauritius, a lot of coral
Mm.
loss, and then like with development on the shore, you lose seagrass and you lose the coral as well and the
Yeah.
mangroves. So yeah, I think that's one of the main problems is just kind of the loss of these like habitat forming organisms over time. And like the change in water quality is a big issue because like when the temperatures rise and there's more like pollution and
Yeah.
acidification, it's like you can't just do restoration the way you could have if there wasn't a climate crisis. You can't like go in and just like plant new corals or
Yeah, you have
like
to figure out
because
like is the water even correct for like
yeah, because they're
grow it?
also just gonna like die again. So I think that's kind of a hard part because you can't just you can't really reverse the effects. You can kind of like get creative and try to
Mm-hmm.
come up with something else. But yeah, at some point there's things that you just kind of lose, which is really kind of sad.
Yeah, like in ninth grade, I went on like a Puerto Rico trip. It was like through my school. It's kind of like a community service trip, but we
Oh,
just like
cool.
planted like a lot of like mangroves in like Puerto Rico, basically.
Oh, yeah.
And then we got to see like a lot of the mangroves. Like I expected mangroves more to be like on the coastal side, I guess. Like I would see
Mm-hmm.
these mangroves like right next to houses and like in more
Yeah.
like and like more in more kind of like populated areas. Which I
Yeah.
guess it definitely makes sense. But like I remember when I was younger, I didn't even know what mangroves were, and I was just like a
Mhm.
weird spelling for like mangoes.
Yeah.
And I was
That's
just
what it looks
like,
like.
wait, these are like mangroves, like their roots are really cool. They somehow are able to stand up like that.
Yeah. They're so cool. I love mangroves.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there was like in the past, like 30, 40 years, there was like a lot of development in places where mangroves were. For a lot of
Mhm.
it was like for aquaculture.
Yeah.
But I think actually there's been a lot of mangrove restoration in Southeast Asia specifically. Like
Mhm.
a lot of papers that I read about like using mapping mangroves and stuff, they're from Southeast Asia, and there are people like monitoring the mangroves after they've been developed and like trying to see regrowth and stuff like that. So I think that's really interesting that they're
Yeah.
kind of working on that. I
Mhm.
think like the development of mangroves, hopefully, I don't think it's done as nonchalantly now because people kind of know how important they are. So it's a
Yeah.
lot harder to like just like bulldoze them and
Mhm. And then uh what aspect in being a marine biologist do you find the most difficult? And like what was your most difficult experience?
hmm. That's a hard one because I feel like there's a lot of aspects. I think probably one of the hardest things is there's so many different like roles you have to play as a marine scientist.
Mhm.
Like there's so many different aspects to it. Like you have to be like a biogeochemical marine scientist. You have to. So I think it's kind of hard, like being able to master so many different concepts. But like the good news is you don't really have to be good at every single one of them. You kind of find what niche you do the best in and kind of like
Yeah.
pursue that. So I think at the beginning it can be hard because it's like, oh no, I have to be great at like physical oceanography and also like microbiology. And it's like that's just not right. Like you don't have to be good at every single aspect of marine science.
Mhm.
You kind of like decide where you want to go.
Yeah, like I would talk to people and they were like, yeah, marine being a marine biologist is such like a big, broad umbrella term.
Yeah.
In some ways, which like I never really thought about it. Like I learned about so many people's like jobs and pathways in within marine biology that I never knew or like considered marine biology, which I think is
Yeah.
really cool. Like I talked to this lady who was like talking about like how she would meet with like builders and people buying land and being like, you shouldn't buy this plot of land because you can't build that much because then it will affect like the environment or the ocean or stuff like that. Which I thought
Yeah.
like I didn't really consider that marine biology, but it totally makes sense like in the pathways sort of way.
Yeah, I mean, there's like so many different jobs you can do in marine science. That's why I kind of like it though, because it's like we all kind of have a shared interest and like a goal of like trying to be able to continue like the ocean being healthy and having food for us, and
Mm-hmm.
but still like we got to live somewhere and we got to eat something and our water needs to go somewhere. So everybody kind of has to work together to figure that out.
Yeah. And like, what are some common misconceptions about being about marine biology and being a marine biologist?
Hmm. I think like I probably wouldn't even be considered. I guess I would be considered a marine biologist kind of generally, but usually I think people think marine biology kind of encompasses every marine scientist. And I mean, it kind of does because we all kind of do some aspects of biology. But in general, like in our field, marine biology would refer to someone who looks at like a specific organism or like a specific like family of organisms and kind of studies them in depth and their biology, and not, I think people confuse that with marine ecology where you're looking at like all the different species and how they live together within a food web and how they like interact with their habitat and like the chemistry of the water and stuff like that.
Mm. And then for anyone wanting to get into marine biology, what are some internships or things you did as an undergraduate to get where you are now?
So I guess uh there's like stuff I did in high school to kind of get into college. And then there's stuff that I did in undergrad to kind of get the position I'm in now. In high school, I did I volunteered at an aquarium, and that was really fun. I got like my volunteer hours. I don't know what it's like in California, but in Florida, if you volunteer a certain amount of hours, you get a scholarship for Florida-based schools. So I kind of like tag team that, getting my undergraduate, like getting a scholarship with getting some experience for my job in the future. And then me and my best friend in high school, we started like a conservation environmental club, and we kind of did like beach cleanups and stuff. So I think that kind of helped my resume. So I was able to, my application, I guess, to get into school. And then when I was in school, I did a, what's it called? It was like a field course experience in Mexico. And it was like 3 weeks, and we did like diving every day. And we did like a little research project where we kind of picked a question that we had, and then we would collect data on our dives, and we wrote like a little paper about it. And that was really good for getting me to like think about different questions you can even ask as a marine scientist. Because I think sometimes it's hard. You're just like, oh, I'm a marine scientist. It's like, well, what does a marine scientist do? You kind of have to like figure out what you're interested in. So that kind of helped me get interested, and it gave me some research experience. And then I took that class, the habitat mapping class, with my now boss. And basically I took that class and I was like, wow, this is what I want to do. I get to incorporate mathematics, and I get to incorporate ecology, and I get to study the organisms, but then I get to do something concrete, like create a map of where they are. And so we worked on that project together as a class, and then I asked him to be my undergraduate advisor. And then eventually I was just like, hey, can I work for you? He was like, sure. So that worked out great. I think it is important to like make connections, and like even if you weren't to like stay with that teacher for your grad degree, they probably have contacts for you, or they can write you a really nice recommendation letter. I also did some volunteering in a invertebrate lab where we just kind of like sorted the sediments and weighed different organisms and stuff, and that helps you get some lab experience as well. So just like taking any little experiences you can get here and there, and then like making connections with the people that you're working for can help you like both figure out what you want to do and also like have what you need to get the positions or the jobs you're looking for.
Okay, that's really good information. Thank you. And then like finally, for the last question, what are some of your favorite marine animals?
Ooh, there's so many. Like I said, I love the Picasso triggerfish just because that's like reminds me of Mauritius. But I live here in Florida, and my favorite organism to see here is definitely the spotted eagle ray. I love them so much, and I have a tattoo of one.
That's cool.
But I guess my favorite deep sea creature would probably be like the giant tube worms that live on the hydrothermal vents. I think they are so cool. But that's probably like my main ones.
Yeah, for me, like I'm like biased because my school's mascot is a dolphin. So
oh, cute.
So I think my favorite sea animal is dolphins, but I also really like sea otters. They're really adorable.
Oh yeah, they're so cool. We just have like river otters here. I saw one when we were like tubing down this spring, and they're not very friendly, but they're so cute.
Yeah. That's really cool though. Yeah, like I find like dolphins like really interesting just because like how smart they are.
Yeah, they're really interesting.
Well, like people always perceive them as like friendly and cute, but they can also be like really vicious and mean if they want to.
They're kind of like nefarious.
Which I find so amusing because like people always seem like, yes, dolphins are the good ones and sharks are the evil ones. But like some sharks just like mind their business. You don't really care for humans when you go up to them. But like dolphins could be like really like vicious if they want to be, whatever.
Yeah. When we were in Mauritius doing my like field work, we went on like a dive for fun with my family, and like 3 dolphins came out of nowhere and like came right up to us and were like checking us out, and then like left. It was so cool. I think they liked like my lights on my camera because I had like 2 like strobes on. So I think they probably saw it from far away and were like, what the heck is that?
Okay, so thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure talking with you. We'll end the interview here. Thank you.
Of
And
course, thank you.
I have this strangest feeling